All right, heyo. Hey, how we doing? Welcome back to The Exit Row. This is episode 33, I believe.
You're correct.
And yeah, so it's been almost close to a month. We'll just call it that. We'll just round it up. It's been about a month since we've gotten together. A lot's happened everywhere, really. But most recently, we're just going to get right into it. Why beat around the bush at all? Paige, you recently had quite a life achievement happen. I think that's the right word to put on it.
I
Life
think it
achievement?
honestly would be too, yeah.
Now, you called it an aviation goal, but I'm going to go ahead and call it a life achievement.
Yeah,
Wanna
so
talk about it?
last year, I don't know if you remember, we all set aviation goals. This year we didn't really, aside from me. And
Well, this isn't even about goals. This is just about your fascination. I wouldn't even say like the goal in general. Just talk about Maryland 1. Yeah.
so Maryland 1 was the first special livery I photographed back when I got into plane spotting back in 2021. As you can see this model here.
Wait, by the way,
I-
isn't it funny that she's only been plane spotting since 2021? Not to call you out or anything. It's not really
Well,
been
actually,
that long
like
for you.
the photography aspect.
Okay, yeah, that's
but-
fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that was like 4 years ago.
Yeah, I would say.
But remember, I also grew up in Fremont, and so not anywhere near a big airport.
Okay, right. Yeah, sure.
You got
sure.
air tractors.
We had air tractors and Cessnas, yes. But yeah,
You're a noob. Yeah, gotcha.
a little bit. So yeah, this model here, I painted her. She's 3D printed. Anyways, on Monday evening, so backtrack a little bit. My goal was to fly her this year. If there was any aviation goal, it was to fly her, and she's a 737-700. Southwest is slowly phasing them out. So I'm like, this plane means the absolute world to me. And if I could do anything, I just want to fly this aircraft. Monday morning, actually, I was looking through, I have her bookmarked on Flight Radar. I was looking through her flights, and I saw Omaha popped up. And I knew that in order to fly her, I would be a last-minute booking. And I was like, okay, this might be it. So she was on her way to Oklahoma City, and she ended up diverting to Dallas due to weather. Did not think this was at all going to happen. But I was ready to get the tickets. I see her divert, and I'm like, this isn't going to happen. Like, okay, we'll just wait, because she comes to Omaha like quite frequently. And
But you never know when they're gonna be back again. Just because she's
Exactly.
frequent doesn't mean it will. Yeah.
Exactly.
And jet tip doesn't show.
Well, she's here so much
Yeah.
that shows how much she's here. Is that
Exactly.
it's not
Jet
even
tip,
a jet
yeah,
tip
jet
mention.
tip put it as a low priority because she's here that much. So I'm looking at this, and then she lights back up. She's in Dallas, diversion done, headed back to OKC. And then her next flight was to St. Louis. And then she gets on her way to St. Louis. I'm like, okay. And then I said, if she departs for her overnight in Philadelphia, I'm going to go ahead and book it, because the only obstacle then would be for her to go to Midway and then to Omaha. And Philadelphia isn't a base. So I'm like, okay, she departs for Philadelphia. And at this moment, we're 12 hours out of departure.
Oh my God, we're still 12 hours out. You got a ways to go here.
Well, so she gets to Philadelphia. I book the tickets. And I'm going to fly Maryland 1 the next day. Like, it's just absolutely, like, surreal. Didn't even set in. I was ready to have to cancel if she tail swapped. She ended up not tail swapping. I woke up, I checked, and I'm like, she's still coming. So I get to the airport. My flight was at 10:45 a.m. And I have my...
Two Midway, right?
Yes. I have my mini Maryland 1, which was actually shipped to me from a friend in Germany. And I took her along with me on the flight. So I get to the airport. She gets there, and I'm face to face with Maryland 1 right now. Like, it's absolutely crazy. And I'm like, this isn't even.
It should be noted that you were by yourself.
I was,
And if you know, that's kind of like almost dangerous.
which was a little bit scary. I'm like,
No, I'm not gonna lie. The fact that like Adama wasn't with you, I was rather concerned that like you're not gonna be okay.
not gonna lie, I was a little bit shaky. I had my electrolyte drink on hand. I was like, I had some food beforehand. I had my electrolytes. I had my water. I was like, deep breaths, because this is a big moment. This plane has meant. I go and see this plane almost every time it comes to Omaha, and just instantly seeing her brightens my day.
Everyone else just flying to Midway. That's just like, okay,
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and the funny part about
cool
that,
looking plane, sweet.
the funny part about that is when she pulled up, one of the guys who just non-aviation person, he was like, "Oh, this must be one of their new planes."
And hey, I mean, honestly, when you're an av geek, and if you see it painted, I can get that. I can get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is funny. It's actually one of their like complete opposite older planes.
Yeah. When you don't know any different. So I'm A4 for boarding. I'm going on. I gave her some good girl pats.
That
We
is
get
pretty
there.
incredible that you got A4 buying the ticket
I did upgrade.
literally the night
because it
before.
was a
But
cheap
still,
upgrade,
the fact that
but-
you got A4.
Right, and 12 hours ahead of departure, even. So yeah, I'm getting on. One of the first to board. I gave her some good girl pats because we gotta do that to every plane, but especially Maryland 1.
Did you like physically kiss it?
No,
Oh, okay, good.
didn't do that.
Probably smart.
That would have been a little weird. I'm pretty sure everybody else.
But kind of a legitimate question. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, it's
I
her.
can see you
it's
making
her-
out with it in the back.
It's her daughter.
You don't make out with
Yeah.
your children. Let's just say that.
Okay, yeah, fair.
But
Most don't.
That's a different podcast.
Anyway, keep going.
so yeah, I get on. I immediately asked my flight attendant Val. Val was freaking awesome. Like she is
And who is Val?
the flight attendant.
Shout out to Val.
Yes, she. I went up to her and I'm like, one of the things that I prayed for on this trip was that please allow me to have a really cool flight crew that is going to vibe with my absolute geek fest, and I did. Let me tell you, because I told her the backstory behind this aircraft, and I was like, can I get a pic up front on the flight deck? And she's like, oh my gosh, yes, this is a full circle moment for you. And so, first officer steps out. I get in, get my pictures, and then,
First officer, who is also a female.
yes. So shout out to Kristen, first officer, and Doug, the captain. Both of them
What up, Doug?
super awesome.
Shout out Kristen.
And so yeah, I get in. I'm taking selfies. I'm taking pictures. I sat by the red engine, which was my initial
On the way
goal.
out, then you sat by, I think, white on the way back, right? You went both.
No, I actually
okay.
didn't take her on the way back. I cut in front.
Oh,
the
that's
people-
right, that's right.
I cut across the aisle when we were
Oh,
getting
that-
off the
that must
plane
have
to
been
take
it.
a
Okay.
picture of the white engine. Yeah,
That's
I
right,
wish I
that's
would have
right.
taken her back. So in flight, watched The Office with her because it's my favorite show. I had to introduce her. I'm sure it wasn't her first time being introduced to The Office, but had to do that with her. Flight was great. We ended up actually having to do a sky donut. Unsure the reason.
Yeah, that's an
why.
interesting, actually, kind of a discussion right there. Is traffic related, I'm assuming, and there was fog at Midway at the time. I saw.
It was very rainy. Very
I'm assuming it
cloudy.
was just traffic related, but
I would
knowing
think
you,
so.
it was because you were on board.
And she was happy. Yes, exactly.
Totally. Yeah,
You understand?
nothing logistic related at all. No.
No,
She
she
just
did that
went-
on her own.
She just wanted to
It's
give
kind
you
of funny because
another
when I
5
went to
minutes.
track your flight, I actually went to track it while I was at work, and that's when I pulled it up. Is actually when you were circling, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "Of course something's happening." On this flight." Like,
I mean, when you
I just
see
caught it
that-
mid circle, and like I didn't know anything at the time, and I was like, "Of course something's happening on this flight."
Right.
What if the circle was an O for Omaha?
You know what? I bet that's it.
By the way, it's National Donut Day today. Just throwing it out there. So.
It was an O for Paige. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh.
For the like O-shaped part in the P.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. I mean, when you see that doing a half circle, you automatically think, diversion. They're diverting, or
Or just
something
holding,
is
or just
happening.
holding, not necessarily diverting, but
Yeah,
you're holding.
holding,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we did a circle, and I even noticed that, and I was like, it was a very not sharp turn, so I didn't even realize it until I happened to look out the window, and I was like, the clouds are below me. And I was like, we're turning,
Well,
and then
glad you noticed that. The fact that you weren't hallucinating, well done.
no, like because we were tilted, like because I was on the right side of the
Well-
plane, and that's how we were turning. I was like, I'm looking out the window, and the clouds are down,
And
So I'm
that's how
like,
it should be, right? Are you saying that was weird?
Well, it's
I'm
when-
sorry, I'm not too sure where you're
Okay,
at.
it's when you're in a plane and you're turning.
Am I
You're
off
on
base here, Adama?
the
I'm
right-
sorry.
I'm sorry. This is too funny.
Well, she
No.
said the clouds are below. Like that's weird.
Like, isn't
It's
that
like
what
when you
happens
look
at
out the window and the
35,000
clouds
feet?
and the clouds are straight down. Is what I'm trying.
Oh, you're trying
get
to
at.
like when you were turning. You're saying.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, please move forward now. Let's get
Yes.
off this.
And then we kept turning, and then I
I was in the sky. It was weird.
Hello, 35,000 feet.
yes.
I looked up. No space.
I saw blue.
outer space. Yes. So, and I noticed we kept turning and turning and turning, and I was like, oh, great, weather probably happening in Chicago, probably spacing, of course, but.
But at least you're on it. So even if it does divert, you'd rather divert on Maryland 1, right?
Exactly. More time with my baby. Exactly. So flight was great. Landed in Midway. And
The only bad part of the flight was you ended up in Midway.
Yeah.
God, landing there again. Oof.
It's so cool, actually.
It is
going over the
wild. It is
houses.
wild.
I got a video of that, by the way. But we had a first. I had a first. So
Real quick, if you know anything about hanging out with Paige, every time we hang out, or like anytime you tell a story, you're doing something or having experienced something for the first time ever.
Yep.
And of course,
The
this
most
is
wild-
without fail, you're telling something for the first time.
yeah. So we're taxiing. We landed in Midway.
Okay.
We stop on the taxiway, and the flight attendant comes on, and it was Val, and she says, okay, we need everyone to sit in their seats. We cannot move this aircraft until everyone is in their seats. And so, of course, you see
Were
everyone.
you standing up? What was the problem?
Not me.
Oh, okay.
Not me. But, yeah, see a bunch of people, like, turning their heads, like, what's going on? I couldn't see anybody. But I was talking to her after the flight, and someone had gotten up to go use the restroom while we were taxiing to the gate. So we had to stop, of course, because that's the rule. And we ended up blocking traffic on the adjacent taxiway, and I believe behind us, because this wasn't a few second stop. This was a couple minutes. We were chilling there for a little bit because someone decided to get up. So yeah, that was the first.
Darn you, FAA, and your stupid rules, seatbelts.
Yeah.
Was it a full flight?
Yes, I believe so.
How
I
was
didn't
it
get a
weird?
good look at the back, but it was pretty full. So yeah, flight was great. It was everything I could have ever imagined to experience.
Yeah, let's just get right down to it. Did it meet your like when you dreamt of this day, which is probably every day of your life? Like, did it amount to what you thought it would be?
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's be honest. It's a 737-700 with Southwest. Was she as pretty on the inside as you might think?
You look so stupid. You said that. It just,
I was
Wow.
trying not to call her ugly, but like it's
Yeah.
a 737-700 with Southwest. I'm sorry, but she's probably a little prettier on the outside than the inside.
Okay, I'm actually gonna.
it's
say-
kind of like the NAOC. Really pretty on the outside, very ugly
But
on
let's
the inside.
remember, this is a 25-year-old airplane, 700 by the way.
So I'm actually gonna go off here and say something that I like the tray tables on the
off.
700 better because they're bigger than like the 800 and Maxes.
So I guess getting into that, was there any sort of commemorations on the inside?
Yes, there is a Maryland one.
Okay.
As you're entering the plane on the right, it has the Maryland one flag, and then it says Maryland one, and it gives a little bit of a story behind the plane. And when you connect to the in-flight Wi-Fi through Southwest, and you're on a special livery, it says you are flying this special livery, and it gives a story behind the plane.
cool.
So that was really cool. And then when you go onto the flight tracker through Southwest, it actually has the special livery on the plane.
Oh, nice. That's cool. That's cool.
That
That's
is
a cool touch.
really, really cool. It's super awesome that they put that in there. So yeah, after the flight, I got to connect with the flight crew. Such an awesome flight crew. I talked to Kristen for a bit after the flight. I talked to Val for quite a bit. She has actually a background in media of some sort. Correct me if I'm wrong. She showed total interest in the podcast. She's like, I would love to be on the podcast. I love, all that kind of stuff, anything like the media. So she
loves
super
the
awesome.
media.
Yeah.
Where are the media? Where's my credentials?
Shout out media. Shout out communications, dude. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So I got to connect with them. Doug had to go to another flight. He got out pretty quick.
Because Doug's the man.
He is the man. He's the cat man. All of them were just so awesome. And afterwards, me and Kristen were talking about the kind of crazy Southwest liveries that have gone on through the years. She pointed out Shamu, and we both agreed on the Sports Illustrated livery.
Oh, wow. Yeah, deep cut.
Yeah, it was
Which-
a very interesting livery that they had.
Which that one is now covered up as Tennessee one.
Wait, was that the old Tennessee one?
Yeah, I was going to say that's the
Yeah.
older.
That was
Tennessee
because that was
one.
on the 700. So
Yeah.
that became Tennessee 1.
Yeah.
I did not know
I
that.
didn't know that
There
either.
you go.
Wow, the resident
Well, that-
Southwest officer didn't know something.
That's per co-pilot. I looked it up a few days ago.
Oh, okay. So
So-
that makes sense.
Hopefully it's correct. Who knows?
Is this going on an 800, by the way? Like, is Maryland 1 transitioning too?
Um,
Aren't they all? Because aren't all the
yes.
flags going?
yes. Unsure if she's going to be on an 800 or max 8, one of the two.
She's going to be on the new Southwest 787 that they're going to get because
Oh
That
my
would be
gosh,
actually really cool.
Lord. But yeah, when this airframe retires, she's only 20 years old. She just celebrated her golden birthday, 20 years old on May 20th, by the way. She's a younger 700, but when she goes, it's just going to be devastating. But I'm like, she's growing up. She's going to be back. But yeah, we got done with the flight. Kristen actually pointed out Freedom 1 to me. Freedom 1 was there. And if y'all know my sentimental value with Freedom 1, she was parked a couple gates away from us.
Who was here today?
She was here today as well. Yep. And then she introduced me to a couple other aviation photographers. I got to connect with them as well.
Like on the flight? What do you mean? Like people that she knew?
She knew, yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah. So that was super awesome. I just want to give a shout out to that whole flight crew who was just so happy to be there and support my Geek Fest.
A round of applause for Paige making it happen. You know, you got to be flexible. Not everyone can, because this was a weekday too, so I assume you took off work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because, for my work, we have a calendar, for so many people can take off on one day. It was free.
Well, regardless, yeah.
Yeah.
You had to be flexible. Yeah.
Yeah, and had it not been free, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But it was free. I was like, okay, I'll put myself on the calendar. Maybe it'll happen, maybe not. And then everything was just lining up. Like Southwest had a big 20% off discount. I had 10 times points, and I was like, everything is just lining up for this to happen right now. And it was one of the best flights I've ever had. So obviously, because it was my baby. So.
And then we just turned around and come back. What was the story there?
Yeah, so I actually had lunch with her.
With Maryland 1 or
Yes.
with because when you say her, you need to kind of clarify what you're talking about.
I,
Did you have a pilot?
Yeah, I had lunch with Maryland 1, yes.
What does that mean exactly? Maybe for people that have, no idea what you're talking about.
Well, so I went and got myself some food. I got there, I was pretty hungry, and I got myself a chia seed blueberry parfait and sat by her
Fancy.
gate. She was right in my line of vision, so I had that, and she had jet fuel, so we had lunch together.
Totally. Okay.
So now you can say you've flown a special.
Yes, I'm going back to another episode, but yes. And truthfully...
Yeah, see, thank you, right?
That's right. Yeah, you would always
Spirit of hope.
moan and complain.
Okay, well, Spirit of Hope is also... You even said she's special, not special livery, but a special aircraft. But she will always have a special place in my heart as well. But a full-on
that
special
and
livery...
every other plane in the history of the world has a special place in your heart. We get that.
This is also true, yeah. But yeah, I'm actually kind of glad things played out the way they did so that I could make Maryland 1 my first actual special livery that I flew on. So everything happens for a reason, and I totally believe that everything happened for a reason with this flight, to be able to not only fly her, but connect with the flight crew.
Just because it's been in Omaha a lot recently doesn't mean it's going to be here a lot going forward,
Yeah.
Things happen in cycles. I've kind of noticed with some planes, you do see them for a while, and then they disappear for a while,
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
And then when they
Things
come
work
back
in
to you-
cycles. So kind of want to bring are you kind of I don't know how much more you had on Maryland 1, but I did
That
have
was
I wanted to
pretty much wrapped it
clarify
up,
something
yeah.
for the people here. So you obviously made a nice post on the socials, obviously, about your whole journey that day. Now you said, and I quote,
Oh, here we go.
I quote, it was one of my top 5 favorite planes. Now, knowing you, I just assumed that was number 1 in your heart all day. But the fact that you said one of the top 5 means that she's not number 1.
So I'm actually, I'm going to clarify
Can
that.
we just put it all out?
Her and Yankee Alpha are actually tied for number
Yankee
1.
Alpha is
D-ABYA.
okay. Just for maybe the people out there that aren't aware,
D. Abaya. Yes,
you may have mentioned once or twice,
sorry.
but I actually didn't think about that when I was reading the post. So yeah, that's probably 1A, 1B. Would you say?
Absolutely, yeah. So those two are
okay.
tied for first for sure. I have a few other planes that hold a higher special, meaning to me.
I was just literally taking back when I read that. I was like, one of top 5? I was like, top 5? I was like, I just assumed Maryland 1 was like 1A kind of thing,
Yeah, she is.
So just to clear that up.
Yep.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
It's not like she's 3 out of 5.
No.
Okay, gotcha. See, you know where I was going with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, then,
How about a round of applause?
Yeah,
again?
let's
that
take a round of
deserves it.
applause.
That deserves it.
Paige, congratulations on finally making your dream come true.
Obviously, it was worth it, right?
Absolutely worth it. Like,
Now, would there have been any price point where you would have said no? Like, let's be realistic. Obviously, like $1 million, obviously you'd say no. But
Yeah.
like, was there a price point? Like, let's call it let's
Good
call
question.
it $600 for one way, 40-minute flight to Midway.
yeah, that would have been probably a no.
Right.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been a no for sure.
That would have been a no for me, dog. would have been
Yeah.
a no.
That's a
Because we were kind of talking off air, this goes back to my MBA finals experience when I had to book a Southwest flight like within an hour of departure, and it weirdly was not expensive. It was rather affordable. It was within a couple $100. And you booked it within, you booked it the night before,
12 hours before.
12 hours
departure.
before, which is still a very short notice. I would say anything under 12 hours is pretty short.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was available, like had that flight been full, like you strike out, that would have been crushing. Like that would have been knowing it's coming in, but you couldn't have gotten on.
Yeah, and so that's why I booked it when I did. I debated waiting until morning just to see, like, okay, she's on her way. I was like, no, okay, you know what? If the morning comes and she, for whatever reason, swapped, I'm just going to cancel.
Or wait till morning and there's only a couple seats available, but those get taken. You could have been shut out from it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just pulled the plug, did it, and it happened. So.
There you go. All these memories. So congratulations, Paige.
Thanks.
Shout out.
Okay. Let's go ahead and do we want a break or let's keep
It's up to
rolling?
you guys because what's gonna happen here is we're gonna be talking. You guys went to the Pacific Northwest.
There you go.
Is that what we're moving on to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move
so
on.
You left first.
So yeah, I
You
left
had
first.
something, other agenda first beforehand.
So I went down to Orlando to go see my half brother and his family, and
Shout out to the Half Brothers.
heck yeah,
There's several of them.
I have quite a few. If you know, you know. Thank you, Ancestry.com and 23andMe. But anyways, so yeah, I went down there, and my two full brothers. So I go
Shout out to the
half-brothers,
Full Brothers.
Full brothers.
Full brother.
They both also came down. One's from Georgia, one lives here in Omaha, and we all just had like a little brother reunion, hanging out. We went down to Epcot. So I flew up Omaha up to Minneapolis, and then I took because I did this because Minneapolis to Orlando was a 757. So I'm like,
300, right?
done.
Wasn't it a 300?
Yeah, it was a 300. And so anytime I can get on the 757, I will alter my plans to do that. So that's what I did. I went down to Orlando. And then, so when I was there, I did some plane spotting as well. One of my coworkers, he told me, because he used to plane spot there all the time, so he told me a few places to plane spot. So I got to see the Avianca Miami Dolphins livery. I saw JetBlues. I saw so many out there. It was really cool. And then I saw my one brother, Corey. I saw him land in Orlando, and I took a picture, and he's like, okay, creep. So
These non-av geeks don't understand.
he didn't understand. So, but my half-brother, Justin, he also loves...
What's up, man?
Justin Squared.
He loves aviation as well, and he works at Disney World. So his office, actually, he can see the aircraft come in into the airport because that kind of comes over Disney. And so, yeah, he'll have Flight Radar 24 up while he's also watching planes, and he sees it. So he wanted to go out and plane spot, so learned that we needed a ladder. So we took a ladder out, which was really nice, to get some photos. And it was a fun time with my brother. And then I decided to mix it up by not doing some Delta, and I actually did some Alaska.
Whoa! Heck!
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you. So I took Alaska from Orlando to San Francisco because I was going to go meet up with Paige because we were going to go watch soccer again. Shock.
Yeah,
going to
right,
go see another Major League Soccer team. And that was going to be up in Seattle. So I took Alaska all the way over to San Francisco to spend the night. And at the last minute, about, I want to say probably, they haven't boarded, but it was like 5 minutes before boarding. I just happened to take a quick look to see, how much would be an upgrade to first class would have been. And it was only like $75. So I kind of said, okay, for a 6-hour flight, that's going to be worth it. And I'm going to say Alaska, great customer service along the way, great gate agents. They're very, very cheerful. The crews are great. And I will say even the first class meal was probably the best domestic first class meal I've ever had.
You would know.
Yeah.
It was some Moroccan dish, and I love flavors, and it was so flavorful. But yeah, the experience was great. You know, yeah, I know it's a 737, but Alaska knows how to do it. Maybe Southwest can, you know, learn a thing or two from Alaska. I'm just saying. Yeah, so I did that, and then I flew out of San Francisco the next morning up to Seattle. Again, that is a beautiful view flying into Seattle.
In and out.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, and so this would have been my actual first time visiting Seattle and actually being a tourist, right? I've flown in through the military through Seattle, but this was my first time being a tourist. So came in, flew in, and then the soccer game was like 2 hours later. So
Yeah, you got here.
however, had I taken the Orlando flight that morning, it would have been Toontown
Again.
to Seattle, and I still would have arrived beforehand, but I just did not want to risk it. So
Yeah.
And haven't you been on that specifically?
I have. That was
Yeah.
my first Alaska was Toontown. So yeah, I get into Seattle. A lot of construction going on, so it was kind of messy to get to the car rental facility, but great time. We went out, and Paige, you were already there. So how did you get there?
So this was my first time flying Alaska, and it was amazing. I will agree with you that the employees from gate agents to flight crew are just so happy and cheerful, and it's just they have such a good vibe. And my flight there was actually on the 2021-2022 Eco Demonstrator. So I found that super awesome. Just a little tidbit about her. I actually found an article which I found super awesome. So
Super awesome article.
Super.
Cool article.
y'all. She used to sport this special livery during her 5 months of testing, and then for about a year after. It has some like green mountains along the side of her, Boeing. So it was an Alaska Boeing partnership, essentially, is what it was. She tested for 5 months as an eco demonstrator. And a few of the things that she tested was a new fire extinguishing agent for aircraft that significantly reduces effects on the ozone layer. The material is intended to replace the Halon 1301, which is no longer being produced. It was a collaboration with the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration to measure greenhouse gas levels in the atmosphere to support agencies' climate modeling and long-term forecasting. Evaluating acoustic lighting concepts within the engine nacelle that may reduce noise on current engines and will inform designs for next-generation models.
Okay, so
It was a
so
green-
it had
it was a green
quite a few
initiative.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, like all the things on board were plastic, and or got rid of all plastic, and everything was recycled. If you remember it, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a recycling carbon composite material from the Boeing 777X wing production into the sidewall
Yeah.
panel.
So a lot of cool facts about it, right?
Like all the
Yeah.
cups they would use were recycled materials. Because United did that too with their whatever one that was. I can't remember. But everything they used
Yeah.
on board
Oh,
was
the
recycled
Eco
materials.
Skies.
Yeah, they did
Yeah.
that with that one too. Yeah.
So yeah, that was all she did. So it was super cool, and a little touch on her, which is a little jump into the future, but she is actually featured in the Future of Flight Museum. So,
However, that is not a special currently because it's not in the livery. So
Yeah, it's not.
depending on how
Not
you look at the
currently.
argument.
but it was cool to fly her knowing all these things that she did.
I know. I'm just trying to trigger you right now, though. That wasn't a special
He's
livery.
trying to trigger you.
Of course, trying to trigger me.
But at least, but you just recognized it. You said you didn't fly on a special because that's not currently in the livery, right? Even though it was
Not a special livery.
even though it
but-
sported a special livery.
Yeah. But I know you're trying to trigger me. Obviously.
But
Still,
where do you land on that? Does that mean you didn't fly special even though it currently sported one previously?
previously it did. It didn't at the time that I flew it, no. But I
You
wanted
don't understand what. Never mind. We'll move on.
That actually sounds like a great poll in the future because I've got a lot of old
What
specials.
I'm saying is, like, does it still count even though that was the same exact aircraft?
Actually,
move on. Let's
never.
move on.
I've never
Yeah.
considered that actually, though.
So
That
that's
is
going to be a
actually
Paige's
good
poll for the next one.
Yeah, this is gonna be another Page's poll because yes, that is
Pod would
interesting.
die without me. I'm gonna say it.
Oh God.
So you made it to Seattle.
I made it to Seattle on my very decorated girly who has some accomplishments in life.
And you met up with a friend out there?
Yes.
Not Adama.
No.
That was later.
Later, yes. Yes, me and my friend Ivy. She is amazing.
Shout out, Ivy.
We went plane spotting together. She showed me a pretty cool place for reverse ops. Seattle went to reverse ops immediately. We got our food. We started going towards the spot we were going to go to. And then they flipped into reverse ops because I saw one taking off. I was like, that's not the direction they've been using the whole time. I believe they're in reverse ops. She was like, yeah, we got to turn around and go back another direction. But she showed me a super cool place. And we were able to get pictures of planes with Mount Rainier in the background. So
I
that
will
was
say Seattle is as scenic as it is. There's just not a lot of spots.
Yeah.
yeah.
But the spots they have are super scenic. Just not a lot of them. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's the only thing with Seattle. Yeah.
So yeah, we had a great time. Brought all my plushy planes out there. She wanted to meet them all, so they all came with.
She wanted to meet him, or you forced her to meet him.
Oh no, she wanted to.
Gotcha.
So yeah, we had Hawaiian food and plane spotted. So
So you had a fun time.
yeah,
So yeah.
Did you meet Ivy as well?
No, I did not. I was still in Orlando.
I mean,
you were
but you
on
were-
your way
you
to
were in
San
Seattle, though, yeah.
Francisco, I think.
Is she like from Seattle? That's what I'm asking. Like, is she from there?
Yeah. She
Oh,
lives
okay.
there.
Well, that's why I asked. I didn't know if you were.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep, that's where she lives.
And so then, yeah, we did. So after the Seattle game, the Sounders, we saw. We also did some, checked out all the aviation museums that were out there. Checked out the airfields. Went on a Boeing tour.
Yeah, the Boeing Everett. The
Everett,
Boeing
up in
tour at
Everett.
Yeah.
Saw the Museum of Flight. Saw the Future of Flight. I think that's what the Boeing one is called. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Somebody will correct me if I said it wrong. And then over there at Boeing Field. So there's Boeing Field, Payne Field, SeaTac, and then there's that other one, Renton.
Yeah.
So at Boeing Field, so that was pretty cool to see all the up and comers,
The baby planes.
the baby planes. But also if you go north of that airport, you can actually get, there's some bars and there's like a brewery and
Yeah, there's a lot of breweries.
there's places to
You guys
eat
saw the
there.
777-9, right? Saw the X, didn't you?
Yes.
We did see that at the Boeing or the Boeing factory.
See any of them move, or were they all stationary? You see
They
any of
were
them
all
move?
Stationary.
They're all stationary.
I do have to say, it's crazy looking at some of these baby planes and knowing that I have taken more flights than this aircraft. Like, this aircraft has never flown and I have. Like, it's just a crazy thing to think about. So, when you're looking at it.
I mean, technically, sure. Yeah.
It was pretty neat to see all the aircraft that were being built at that time. Yeah. I mean, it was
All those 777Xs that might not ever fly.
Oh, I hope they fly.
Aw.
I mean, they're building one right now for Singapore,
Yes, she was
but-
in her final stages of building. So,
but they call it.
Doesn't mean anything.
But yeah,
Doesn't mean anything about it flying.
but they did not allow cell phones on the tour, so
Yeah.
everything was pretty.
no cell phones, no
Lockdown.
backpacks. You can bring anything with you.
However, I appreciate that though.
Yeah.
I appreciate when they
I've taken
say,
tours where you can't take cell phones. I actually think that's kind of cool.
yeah, like it's
Enjoy the
also
moment, yeah.
hey, don't spoil things, but also it's just enjoy the moment, right?
Yeah, and also
it's
just
nice.
like it's unique as well. Yeah.
So
I tried to take Aileron with me. They also did not let her go.
yeah, you did. Yeah, that's right, you did.
It was the only thing I was a little bit bummed about, but
But yeah, so we did some plane spotting as well, which was really neat. And and then we took Alaska back here.
Yeah.
Wait, do you have anything else to say about Seattle?
not really. I mean, we went up in the Space Needle.
Yeah,
Not
we did
aviation
that.
related, but we did that.
And you can see all the planes that are going around the
Yeah.
Space Needle. That was pretty
Yes, that was cool. Yep.
cool. Yeah, Seattle, like, if you're an aviation fan,
Did you guys go to Planeware?
oh,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
we did, inside the airport.
Yep.
Aren't those tails cool that they have? Like those tails that like are for sale. Like those are the one cool things I really wanted to get. Yeah.
It's a little expensive.
It's very
but-
expensive.
Oh, yeah.
That store.
Oh yeah, but they've got great stickers there.
Yeah.
I will say another thing. I did not sit for first class, but I got the Jet Setters Jam on the food, which was on my way there. that was really good. So even the meals that you can purchase in economy are really good on Alaska.
But anyway, back to Planeware. The only reason I bring up that is because it's the only physical store is that one store in SeaTac. That's the only store there is.
Huh. So you have to go through security to get to it.
You can order online, but yeah, you gotta go through security.
Oh,
But
gotcha. Wow.
they got great stickers. I assume you got some stickers, yeah?
No.
Oh, you didn't get it. You went to the store and didn't get stickers? Wow.
No, I didn't get any stickers.
Dang, I'm a little surprised. You didn't
Because
get
I
one
already
sticker?
got stickers at Museum of
Yeah.
Flight and
That means you can't get any
Boeing.
stickers at this place. What does that mean?
I don't know. Whatever.
You guys were weirdly not impressed by that store. My bad. I didn't. I recommended it, assuming you guys would like it. Yeah.
I
I
did
didn't say I
like
didn't
it.
like it.
I liked it.
You don't
but
sound
it was
impressed.
very
Yeah.
pricey.
The stickers were like $4.
Yeah.
Maybe,
my bad, my bad.
maybe back in the day when you were there, I think there were 6 or 7 there.
My bad.
They-
My bad, guys.
Yeah, bro.
But they
Got
did have a nice
standards. You
selection.
You couldn't afford one sticker. Yeah.
It was cool, but yeah.
Oh yeah, and then you actually went to the Alaska store.
Yes.
Oh
I
yeah,
did.
that is a great. That's a good one. Yeah.
the Alaska company store, which
All those things on the wall, the planes,
yes,
is
the
so cool.
models, yes. That store is incredibly cheap, by the way. I got a model of the meatball for like $20. Like, and that's a Gemini jet too, mind you. Those are generally not cheap planes. Now, granted, it's an ERJ, but still, for any Gemini jet, that's pretty cheap. I mean, they had steel tumblers for like $10. Like, everything there was incredibly cheap. So I would recommend that store. They have a very nice variety. The employees were very nice.
Yeah, you just can't go to it on a Sunday or a holiday. Just
Yeah.
saying. Yeah, we tried for me and couldn't. So I'm jealous because I saw it. And I'm like, oh, I want to go in there, but I can't. So,
That was sad.
but yeah, Seattle's great. Definitely, if you're an aviation enthusiast, like seriously go there. It's
I always think it's cool with the gates on the outside. I like the way they do the red numbers on the outside of the gates. If you ever noticed that, I thought that was. I always like that as a touch in Seattle. When you're pulling up to the gate on the outside, on the outside of the airport, like the facade, the gate numbers, they're red
Yeah.
and they're kind of like these.
I didn't
Oh, you
notice
know
They're,
what?
they're
that,
like
I
these
guess.
neon lights.
I remember now because I remember
like these neon lights,
N42. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They're
I
like
didn't
red
notice
neon. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like bar. Like the only way like. It's like bar lighting, if that makes sense. Like neon lighting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
that.
I always thought it was
wasn't
cool.
paying attention, but yeah,
Yeah,
that is
and
unique.
so if you are an enthusiast too, like remember this is an Alaska hub, so you are literally getting all the specials. So if you're always
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna get a special here or that, you're gonna get it there in Seattle. Like you're
Yeah.
so and you'll get Delta as well. So yeah.
And international traffic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and now Delta's now going to drop A350s over there, and they're going to start hitting up the Pacific more. So, it'll be
Yeah.
interesting times that are happening in the aviation industry at this current moment. Because, like, what Southwest now has a partnership with China Airlines,
Yeah, that came out of left field a little bit.
so now they got a Pacific route for individuals. It's really interesting. And Alaska's now they're going to have a 787 that they're going to take. Their first international will be to Rome.
Yeah,
Sign
you've
me
really
up.
been feeling that. You've been reposting all of that.
I know.
I am here for
huge
it.
fan of
And I
that.
didn't
You're
even know
gonna be the first one on the flight.
I didn't even know that the Alaska CEO was Italian. So
Yeah, me either.
it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, Seattle's where I dropped my wallet in the toilet as well. Shout out to Seattle.
that's
I
right.
remember you saying that.
Oh man, yeah.
That's also when you took 2 Boeing, the
Two
Boeing,
aircraft. Yes.
the Boeing specials.
Nope,
liveries.
that was not that time. This was years ago.
With
Yeah.
One World.
This was when I actually took an Airbus A321neo with Alaska.
Ooh,
Oh,
there you go.
No, that was years ago. But I also, shout out to the 2 specials. Yeah, that was another time. Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. So, you have anything else to talk about Seattle? And I do agree that their economy meals that you can purchase on plane are great because even I had something that was.
Shout out to the
tasted
bamboo
really good.
plates that you didn't notice.
Yeah, you told me and I didn't realize. So yeah, bamboo plates. They also have their own special collaborated beer. So
yes, and it was really good.
I'm always here for companies that do that.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and move on to Paige's polls. Paige's polls. Paige's polls. This is getting really dumb. I need to record this. Polls.
Or just
Polls.
not. Or just not.
Yeah,
All right,
record
Paige.
it and then have like a little bit of a tune going with it. You know, like an actual
Like the tune. Hey, Paige. Question number 1.
Question number 1, in reference to the article below, which is, it was a Delta flight, Delta, right?
Yes, it was Delta. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah. That diverted due to a sick dog. Do you think it's appropriate to divert a flight for a sick dog? And I guess this could apply to any animal, really, but dogs, most frequently the ones that are flying.
For the sake of the conversation, it's a dog.
Do you think it's appropriate to divert a flight for a sick dog? Yes, no, and depends on the situation were the choices. Yes, 1 with 52%, and then depends on the situation at 37%, no at 11%. We had some thoughts and reasonings that go behind this.
Thoughts and reasonings.
Yeah. Pal's mom 1, shout out mom, because dogs are better than people, you divert for people that are probably buttholes.
That's fair. Dogs are better than people. That's true.
Lucy Romero says dogs are better than humans, must be protected. Yes. Walker_Nixon, yes, it can pose a risk if it dies, disease, trauma, bacteria, and bad image rep.
Well, yeah, that got dark, but yes.
It is something to think about, you know?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, he's talking about like the body decaying on board. Good Lord.
Yeah,
Well,
like how
okay.
long is this flight? Is it like 38
Is this one of those-
hours, 38 days? Like,
Okay,
We
well,
need
if
to
you...
bury it immediately.
okay, yes, bury it underneath the aircraft. Just
The trap door, yeah.
I mean, never mind. Yeah.
I mean,
close off a
Fair
lavatory.
point. Just really graphic. Yeah, fair point. I guess it's got to be thought about.
so Kate.em.cc, is this a honeypot? The world is depressing. Always save the dog. Popular opinion. Yes. Jet Set Shirts, if there's a dog puking or having diarrhea in the seat next to you, would you want to divert? Yes. My answer is yes for that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, dog, anything puking next to me. Yeah.
Right. And then we had...
Well, then what
One-
about babies? I'm just saying, we don't divert for babies.
Not necessarily. I mean, if the baby's having an actual health emergency,
This
you do.
is true.
Yeah.
Babies puke all the time.
Yeah.
That's all they do.
All right.
That's different, though.
So I'm just saying, is it?
Yeah,
if
is
we're
it
gonna
different?
if we're gonna treat dogs like
gonna say, like-
humans, then that
It's actually not different at the end of the day.
yeah. So
Well, if it was an actual... Yes, if they were, like, having an actual medical emergency, then
that's
yes,
it.
I would...
That's it. All babies, every time that they puke and all that, let's go ahead and divert the plane.
It's going to be a huge cost, but
Yep.
we'll do it.
Yep. It's worth it, right? It's worth it.
Yes.
Adama's into it.
And then our last one, which was one of the very few minorities, absolutely never, and I love dogs.
And who said that? Who said that? Who
Yeah,
said
say
that?
who it was.
XRS54.
Yeah, XRS.
I don't know who that is, but
So
That's what's up.
let's give our statements on that.
statements. Well, go ahead. It sounds like you got something to say.
Yeah. Let's talk about.
I say yes, divert. I feel like it's inhumane to
Like,
let...
no matter what, like, you got to, obviously, like, to your literal question, there's got to be context here.
I mean, yeah, if it's a legitimate medical emergency, like this dog is like having a seizure or it's a legit medical emergency.
Is there a veterinarian on board?
Possible.
I mean, so one could argue that that could be something that could be done.
Is that the thing that we're now going to ask for? Now, is there a doctor or is there a veterinarian on board?
I mean, it's an option. I think it really could be because I think it's inhumane to let the animal suffer if there's something wrong with it.
So we're now having humans who are not veterinarians determine if it's a medical emergency for an animal.
If it's visibly, if you're
Adama, you don't have to be so pissed.
right,
Clearly, you're not on board with this. So let's get to you real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, clearly you're not on board. No,
Which,
but
by
again,
the
there's
way,
context.
I love dogs.
No,
so
you
please
don't. No, you
think
don't.
that I don't.
No, you don't. You just saw a dog earlier and you kicked it.
Shh. You weren't supposed to bring this on the podcast.
Well, you're the one doing it right
You
now.
know, we had a raccoon
Oh
out
my
there, and I
gosh.
made sure that I was nice to the
Adama saw a
raccoon.
dog earlier today and kicked it.
Yeah.
Yeeted.
You know, I punted that little thing. Just
But no, okay, so you're telling me if a dog is seizing on board, you're going to be like, tough.
yeah,
Really?
wow.
yeah.
Really? What if this is a...
It's-
What a
okay,
jerk.
okay, okay.
No,
How about
shut
this?
up. No, what if this is... no,
shut
no.
up. Oh.
No, yeah, because you burned that.
Woo! Let's
No,
go.
what if the dog is a... What do you call it? You know, like a...
A support dog.
Yeah, support dog.
A support dog. Now that is different
Oh.
because
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, so
yeah.
now we
a
gotta
support
classify
dog
these things?
because a support
Oh,
dog is
wow.
there to support the
So how
human.
about people, if they're seizing and they only make so much money? You tell me... like we got
What's
to...
their
You know what?
economic status?
You know what?
You
In
know.
this world, maybe.
No,
Oh,
actually,
Lord.
that's not true. But
You know what? Especially if you're economy basic, all the way in the back, you literally just
you're just
don't
gonna let them
have.
seize?
Yeah, why not?
All right, you know what? I think we're in a dangerous position right now on this pod right now. I think we need to watch what we're saying a little
I think
bit.
so too.
Somebody's going to re-record this and put this on X. No, but seriously,
I mean,
like,
you are taking a pretty tough stance right now. He did basically just say people in economy can die. Just to be
which,
clear.
mean,
which
pretty
is
much.
not
Just to
be-
true.
just to be
Please,
clear what
I
just
don't
happened.
think that. Again, some
But
some
support animals,
dogs.
to clarify this, support animals, which are critical.
are critical.
Support animals, support dogs, not support peacocks and all that stuff is weird. But
Support snakes on a
Port
plane.
snake.
now if it's,
No, yeah. So no, that I do agree with when it comes to a support animal. That yes, okay, go ahead and divert, but not every dog on there is you just because you chose Fluffy to bring him out there. By the way, I know Fluffy is a
if it's Henry?
a member of the family, just like other
So
things.
my opinion is if it's a corgi, we're pulling out all the stops. I don't care what's wrong with it. We need to get on the ground now.
Yeah.
If it needs to go to the bathroom, we need to get on the
I
ground.
mean, think about this. If you're bringing out your 18-year-old, 20-year-old dog on an aircraft, you know your dog is going to die. So
On flight? You mean in flight?
it's possible.
Well, yeah, it's possible you could die in flight too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and if I die on an aircraft, then go ahead and continue that flight until
Oh no, because you're gonna be in
You
first
land.
class, which according to you, we'll make the stop for. But
Yeah,
Paige and I in the back, we're dying. Paige and I in the back, we're dying.
And Adama's gonna be looking at us like, wow, that sucks. Not even gonna care.
Tough.
sucks.
Tough.
Oh wow, must have been the chicken back there.
No, if
Yeah,
Henry,
and then we're gonna go haunt him
look,
because he deserves it.
If Henry's on board and he needs to go to the bathroom, we're landing.
Like you're gonna go take control of the plane yourself and get it on the ground.
Yeah.
Now, please don't get me wrong. I do love animals. Okay,
We're landing
but-
the plane for this.
This is our mascot right here. This is the Exit Rose mascot.
So yeah, I do love animals, but
But
your animal didn't pay for a ticket. Everybody else paid for a ticket. So just throwing it out there.
how does that work? Do the support animals they don't have a ticket?
I don't think they have a ticket either.
I thought some of them.
I thought you had to
there were
pay for
cases
animals,
where-
but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I thought there was some degree to that. Now some of them I know, like a lap dog, like stuff like that. Like they're not gonna have a seat paid for. But I thought maybe the
Right.
support animals did. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
That's a good question.
Someone correct us. Someone's gonna do it.
Let us know.
But anyway,
Let
this
us
is
know.
clearly a controversial topic.
It was.
How
and
about,
I
we move
loved
to
it.
how about we move to a different question?
I love
Because
these
luckily we have
questions.
another one.
All right.
We
Poll
do.
number 2. And
Number
please,
two.
please don't at me, okay?
Do it, please.
He's at him. Yes, he
You-
deserves it.
Sorry.
Remember, I love animals. I think animals are better than humans
Oh,
sometimes.
look who's crying now, huh? Yeah, well.
Yeah, but
Dogs are better than humans for the record, though.
number 2.
So number 2, what do you primarily use for flight tracking? Thank you for this one, Justin. So we are going to go with Flight Radar 24, ADS-B, Flight Aware, and timetables. Flight Radar 24 came out on top with 81%, ADS-B 11%, Flight Aware 6%, and timetables 3%. And I just need to say that if you look at this right now, it's kind of satisfying how it goes from highest to lowest on here, which I've never seen that before. I just thought that was like a
They were in order before we even knew it.
Exactly.
Satisfying.
And so Jet Set Shirts made a comment, Flight Radar 24 for mobile, Flight Aware on desktop, particularly to see scheduled arrivals and departures.
Because FlightAware does have, like, elements to it that I actually do like.
Yeah.
And I was talking with Adama off, I can't remember if you were, but off air, I was saying, like, it's been weird when Flight Radar has been glitching or down for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
yeah, I
Like,
was there for
FlightAware
that.
does work. It's weird, but
Yeah,
yeah.
Flight Radar's had a few glitches lately, but yeah.
If you're in a pinch, and you need to know what it is up there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shout out to timetables, though. The original
Justin-
flight tracker.
Yeah, you were the only one that voted for timetables.
I was kind of hoping Randall, shout out Randall, I was kind of hoping he was going to see that answer and just click it naturally. But that was the original flight tracker, before the apps. Some people don't realize, like, hey, what do you think people did before that?
Exactly. Yeah, Randall went with Flight Radar 24.
Shout out.
Shout out Randall.
Which he took the question very literally, which is the point of the question. The timetables was more of a fun answer. And I'm
Yeah.
glad I'm the only one representing. Yeah. Which I do collect timetables, yeah.
Yes,
Just
yes,
super
you do.
cool thing to have, yeah.
Your Alitalia one was really cool. I liked it.
But yeah, I mean, ADS-B, because ADS-B has, I'm surprised more people, I assumed more people were going to vote that, like, I guess utilizing it the most, I guess, is the question technically. But I assume I assume more people used that, to be honest.
That's probably my second. So that I'll use a lot for military aircraft.
Now, I assume everyone voting here probably uses them all to a degree. But at the same time, the question was, what do you use most? I guess now that I think about it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and the way that Paige just said it was when I was on NAOC, we would use ADSB. We would be looking at that. So it's just the military, we focus on ADSB. But
what's crazy, there's even been articles in the New York Times and major publications lately, with all the ATC problems lately going on in the world. Like we have found out that like there are air traffic controllers that legitimately use Flight Radar 24.
I know, and that's
Isn't it
that
kind of
is
horrifying?
scary and
there
sad.
was that big situation in Austin a while back. Can't remember when that was, but that article then found out in all the investigation that they legitimately use Flight Radar 24.
I mean, in a catastrophe situation, say everything just goes down, and that's what you have to rely on.
But that wasn't the case. It was just because technology is so bad there that was the option.
Yeah.
It's just kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Shout out to their podcast too, by the way. They have a podcast, Flight Radar.
yes, they do.
Oh, yeah.
You're right.
It's very in depth. It's not for everyone. I'm going to be honest. It's not for everyone. It's a very geeky podcast, and that's coming from a geek podcast. That's coming from a geek podcast. So yeah.
It's interesting, like using Flight Radar 2.4. Like, had we had Flight Radar 2.4 like 30, 40 years ago, I just got done with a human factors and aviation class currently, and one of the flights that I tracked or flight reports I did. Looked at accidents. One of the aircraft disasters was in Colombia, and like rebels had taken out a radar facility, and like that's how the
strategically kind of thing.
Kinda, yeah. It was early '90s. It was an American Airlines flight coming in, and everything that had happened, that was part of it. Like, had they maybe had ADSB back in the day, or Flight Radar 2.4 back in the day, maybe like you said, in Austin, the air traffic controller could be like, hey, you're going into a mountain. You need to turn around. You're going the wrong direction.
Sure.
And so, yeah, it's great, Flight Radar 2.4.
Shout out Ombre Frutas for voting FlightAware. I just noticed that. That's my Uncle Larry. Shout out Larry.
Shout out Larry.
Oh, hey.
Big FlightAware fan, I guess.
So, yeah, I guess we all use pretty much Flight Radar 2.4, but ADSB.
But I'm sure we all use them at one point or the other at some point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
ADSB, definitely the most unattractive flight tracker, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
Do they have an app? I guess I don't even know. I just always look it up on desktop when I need it.
No, but I have the widget on my phone to where it has like the app icon, but then it just takes me to the browser.
Gotcha.
And I'm able to access it that way. So
Yeah. No, that's how I have it too. Also, FlightAware, I did use it for a while because when I was in the military, I used it to track aircraft taking off and following them. So FlightAware was really good.
I think FlightAware
4 or
is
5 years
more
ago.
specific, honestly. Even to this day, I think it's got aspects of it that are more specific in terms of like times that it gives. It's kind of weird, but yeah.
Yeah. So they all have their uses. They all are great.
Because I can't remember. I won't want to say if I look it up now, but like FlightAware's got like, I think it's got cool aspects in that it's got gate departure versus departure, and it's got like taxi times listed, which I think that's kind of cool. Yeah. If you're a geek, as we expect most of you are listening, like I'm into taxi time, brother. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what Flighty uses.
Because obviously we all know there's a difference between when you push back and when you depart.
Yes, there is.
So yeah, and that has been the debate for a long time. Is on Flight Radar, the time that it shows departure is when it's literally wheels up. It's not when it's pushing back from the gate.
I thought it was the opposite.
I'm not sure.
I thought that time starts when it's wheels up on Flight Radar. That is.
Yeah, I thought that was pushback time.
For me, wheels up.
I think technically the departure. Yeah.
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 That could be a question too.
Yeah, because I thought the
a-
time Flight Radar listed was departure from the gate.
I think
I'm
that's
not
like
sure.
the scheduled departure, but then the time that it ends up going with is like when it's wheels up.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I could be wrong, but I thought that's what the actual departure time that ends up listing, like for the actual departure, I thought that was wheels up time.
I think it's wheels up. Yeah.
We'll have to look at that.
But
anyway, shout out to taxi times.
shout out to taxi times. Yeah. So we want to just say a quick shout out because it's Pride Month. We want to shout out to all our friends out there.
Our friendos.
We're allies.
Shout out to the corgis and everyone representing this.
There we go. Oh, yeah, because the corgis do. Don't they have a little parade here in Omaha? I don't know.
Oh, is it the corgi races?
I don't know.
I don't know. Corgis
Anyways.
doing anything is great.
Yeah, that's true.
Corgis doing anything is great.
So, all right. Well, that's Paige's polls. And do we have anything else we want to talk about?
Well, I covered the most important thing to me, so.
All right. Well, okay. Well, then on that note, let's go ahead and do we have any future travels? I don't think we do until our next podcast.
Yeah, not
I'll
till
have a
after the
podcast in
next
between
one.
because
Yeah.
you guys obviously have travels coming up. Paige and Adama, obviously. You're leaving the country for a bit coming up.
Yep. I will be
But
leaving.
we're going to plan to have a pod before then.
That's
We
correct.
got maybe some special guests coming on, so stay tuned.
Stay
Yeah,
tuned.
stay tuned.
On that note, let's go ahead and do the handle train. Justin, where can we follow you on the Instagram?
That's a good question. At Spotting Omaha.
Paige.
You can follow me at Oma_spotting_page. And then you can follow my travel buddy adventures with Aileron.
And you can follow me at Photography by Adama D on the Instagram. You can follow us at the Exit Row Pod on Instagram and other social medias. Go ahead and like, subscribe, share our podcast.
Share with your
us.
pets. Even if you're not Adama, you can share with your dogs.
Exactly.
And please go ahead and rate and like us. And please don't degrade the rating because of my take on
Just remember, Paige and I are here, and we outweigh that. So I think
Exactly.
we're
There you
good.
go.
Not that
2
we're-
versus 1.
He's
It's okay.
outnumbered. He's outnumbered.
You always
so.
have to have a heel in every podcast. So,
someone's
Go with
gotta-
the majority
Someone's
here.
got to hate it.
also, by the way, just real quick shout out. Go ahead and check out our other podcast, Justin and I. We have another podcast called John Cena Sucks. It's a pro heel podcast.
He
We
doesn't,
do-
but that's the name of the podcast. Let's be clear.
That's correct. And
Play on words, I believe, is what kids call it.
yes.
Yes.
So please check out our other podcasts. You might
If you
might
love
like
my
it.
voice and you love his voice,
and you like wrestling and you like heels.
if you'd like to see Paige from time to time, she does make an appearance.
Every
do. Every
very
now and then.
very slightly. So,
Yes.
for us three here in Omaha, Nebraska.
Exit row on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Exit row.
Clutch.